It is now time for our feature presentation. Spoiler warnings. Time for our final review of the day. We have the very famous Audition.
Audition やろう。
息子に言われたんです。最近しょぼくれてるんで再婚でもしたがって。あさみ。
本当にオーディションするのか。
何もお前の再婚相手を探すためだけにオーディションするわけじゃないよ。
山崎あさみです。
俺はもう決めた。
あんたあの女を見たのか。あの女の体に触ったのか。
私だけを愛してくれなきゃ嫌よ。この人はいけません。言葉なんか嘘だけど痛みだけは信じれるのよ。あなたは私の全部にはなってくれないのね。足がなければどこにも行けないでしょ。痛い？
So this movie, Dwayne, this movie was good. I almost think it would have been better if it wasn't a horror film, in my opinion, because like 90% of it is not horror. It's just the 10% that is horror, and I think it may have been a little overhyped. It's on a lot of people's greatest horror list of all time. I don't think it belongs there. Just me. That's just what I'm saying. All right, Dwayne, what you think?
Yeah. So there's a lot of hype about this movie. It's about 15 years old now. I've seen it reviewed on like IFC and all kinds of people talking about it, saying one of the greatest horror movies ever. It's not a horror movie. It's more of a suspense movie, and there's like one jump scare in the middle, and then at the end, the last 10-15 minutes I think has a horror element to it. And even then, it's not really horror or bloody. You know what's going on, but they don't show it. And then they'll show like a body part, we talk about spoilers, they'll show like a body part, like a foot getting flying off, or she cuts off the guy's foot and stuff, or there's parts where she's taking the acupuncture needles and sticking them into him, going like tick, 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 just tapping them in. But I mean, nothing real squeamish. No, not a lot of blood. I mean, it's
just a little.
Just a little bit. It's not a great horror movie. It's a good suspense movie. It's really good suspense, but it's not a horror movie.
I remember seeing this on TV. Well, not the movie, but I heard people talking about it. I thought she cut someone's dick off. Because everybody's talking about how crazy the end was. I was like, it always led to the assumption someone's getting their dick cut off in this film. And a lot of people also said, "Oh, she deserves her revenge." They might have been joking around because, like, nobody deserved to get what they got at the end. So let's go ahead and give you the story. It starts off in a very emotional moment of a man losing his wife, and very sad. He lost his love, and then it goes about 7 years in the future, and the man is with his son, who's a teenager, and they have a wonderful relationship. I love the bond that him and his father had in this film, this movie. They seemed like they really cared about one another. I thought it was a great relationship. I enjoyed seeing those two and talking. And then there's actually one thing kind of reminded me of my dad in there's a scene where he's sitting in his little office and his son walks in. He goes, "Hey, Dad, I brought a girl over." He goes, "Oh, really?" And like, you know, I don't know, he's all proud about it. And then like next thing you know, he's getting the coat on and a scarf, and he's like gonna go walk the dog. He goes, "Hey, I want to go to the park and walk the dog." I was like, "My boy, look at that." And that happened to me one time. I don't know if it was deliberate, but it felt like it was. Like one day I brought a girl over to the house, and I called my dad like, "Hey, I'm bringing this girl over." And he goes, "Oh, okay. I'm gonna go play Pokemon at the park for a few hours." I was like, "Hell yeah. Thanks for looking out." And that's what it reminded me of, you know what? I love that. But anyway, back to serious mode. So the bond between the father and son is really great. And one day his son's like, "Dad, you should remarry." And it's like, okay. You know, he's like, "Yes, that's what my son wants, I'll remarry." I was like, "What a cool dude." And so he goes to his buddy. I guess they work at like a movie or a TV production company. And his buddy's like, "Hey, why don't we just have an audition? Make it look like it's for a movie, and then you could kind of like pick a girl out and maybe try to date her from there." And they do that. They do so. And he reads some of their bios. And before they even have the audition, he's kind of sure he's going to pick this one girl just from her bio. And sure as shit, when they do the auditions, he's only interested in her. And so after the audition, he calls her up, and they kind of go out a few times. And it's pretty clear that they like one another. And he tells her like, "Hey, look," they decide not to move forward with the project, and then they kind of continue their relationship. And then he's going to go take her out. He wanted to take her out of town for a little bit, and they go out, I guess, out of the city, and they meet at a hotel, and they're sitting there, and she goes, "Do you promise to only love me?" He goes, "Yes." And they fuck. And then the next morning, or early morning or late night, the hotel calls him, tells him his girl, his companion has left the building. And he's like, "What the hell?" He's freaking out. And he goes to his buddy who's trying to get him to help him. And his buddy's like, "Dude, just stop. What are you doing?" He goes, "You're falling too..." He goes, "Look, dude, just let it go. Find another one." You know, he goes, You're too blinded right now. You don't, you know, she's probably bad news." And then, like, he's also doing background checks on her, and nothing's checking out. He goes, "It is for the best." He says, "You're blinded by your love here." And he gets pissed and walks off. And his son does the same thing. He was joking around with him. He goes, "Dad, you can't see it because you're blinded by love." And there's even another foreshadowing thing when his dad asked the son, he goes, "Hey, where's that girl you brought over? How's that working out?" He goes, "I just got rid of her." He goes, "What? Why?" He goes, "She wasn't what she seemed." And I think that's kind of the theme of the film, is don't be blinded by love. Kind of take your time with it, or you'll get a crazy bitch. And I think that's the theme of the movie, Dwayne. So we spend the next 15 minutes doing Scooby-Doo detective work. And he's like, he goes home, drinks some a little whiskey. He gets up, and holy shit, he's been drugged. And he somehow has like a 10-15 minute vision quest of her whole past, and how she was like a ballerina and her stepdad abused her and possibly raped her. It kind of looked like he had some evil like eyes there. And then that she was dating some musician and he cheated on her, abused her, and she cut 3 of his fingers off, cut his tongue out, and keeps them in a bag, and only lets him out to eat her vomit. And that was kind of freaky. Like, I was like, that kind of freaked me the fuck out. And then he wakes up, and then she kind of has him chained down, and he's paralyzed, and she's sticking all these needles in him. And she says that the way she paralyzed him, he feels the pain twice as much. And she puts some shit like right under his eye, and she's just abusing him. And she's pissed because she thinks They did the audition just to sleep with women, which is kind of true, but he did, like, it felt like he really did love her. So it almost feels like this is for nothing. And then she sawed his fucking foot off with a piano wire, which was kind of crazy. And she got a good way into footy number 2 when the son walks in. And then he's like, no, no. And then he wakes up, and then apparently it's a dream. But then it wakes back up, and it's not a dream. And then she's about to kill his son. And she does, like, some kind of weird pepper spray thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck that was. And then the son goes up the stairs, falls him, and he quickly kicks that bitch down the stairs, snapping her neck. And then he calls 911, and that's how the movie ends. Whew, that's a lot to say, and it was... I kind of wish they just didn't do the horror element. It was actually really good up until that point to me. I thought it would have been a really good film without all that. Dwayne, what's your thoughts here?
I did like it. Like I said, I've heard a lot about it. I think there was a lot of hype behind it. But like you said, it was just a suspense movie. I would have probably liked it more, but it was billed as horror, and as a horror movie, it's not that great. I'm only giving it like a 6 out of 10. I did not enjoy it as much as other people have.
Damn,
that's just how I feel. I didn't enjoy it as much as other people have.
You want to hear a funny story?
Sure.
Damn, Dwayne, you're supposed to hype me up here.
I would love to hear your story.
Okay,
Go ahead,
so,
John.
all right.
I'd love to hear it.
Alright, so when I told my parents I was doing this tournament around the world, my mom, Frankie, said, you gotta do the audition. Do the audition. And then she told me she watched it years ago, and there's a scene in the film where the girl was sitting there just waiting by the telephone for the man to call her. And then you see right next to the telephone is a sack. And then it kind of zooms in a little bit, and then the sack moves, and you see someone's inside it. And when that scene went down, and I kind of saw it coming. I've seen enough horror movies, like, something bad's in that sack.
Yeah, that's the jump scare part I was talking about.
Yeah.
The beginning of it.
She said that it freaked her out so bad, she went to cover her eye, but accidentally punched her eye and blacked it. So she went to work the next day like, what the hell happened? She was, I was watching a horror film and I got so scared I bit my own eye. So yeah, I mean, it does, I guess, scare some people. I know it scared her a lot. I didn't see it coming, but it was freaky. And then the scene where she lets the guy out of the bag and he's got like the 3 fingers and no tongue, that was freaky. But like, you know, that was also like a kind of weird vision quest he's on, so we don't know if that was real or not. You know, and I just felt like the whole thing was pointless because he really did care for her. He probably would have only loved her. He was a, you know, I don't think he's really been with hardly anybody in those 7 years after his wife died. The guy was a pretty good guy. I mean, it's kind of shady the way he went and did it, but besides that, he's a pretty stand-up guy. Here are my pros and cons for the audition. My pros: great acting, directing, and for the most part, great writing. The horror was intense and pretty good when it was on screen. I was glued to the TV from start to finish. The cons: confusing and bad ending. I'm gonna give the audition 7 self-inflicted black eyes out of 10.